Hello, it's me again. It's Nougatbar and welcome to my channel. It's a channel all about knitting, what I've been knitting recently, and this is a little series where I am trying to dedicate a video to my recent finished objects. So this one today is the Shifty sweater by Andrea Mowry. So this episode will be dedicated to the Shifty sweater that I've knit. So I'll be explaining the yarn I've used and what I've thought about the pattern. I do have some thoughts about the pattern and maybe some modifications I made, and also maybe I'll be showing you some ends I haven't waved in properly yet. So yes, so I hope you really like this video and let's get started. So this is the Shifty sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I have this little label that I've sewed on. So it's just a basic label with my name, my username on it, so Nougatbar. And this is the Shifty sweater in all its glory in a rainbow fade. Oh my god, look at these colours. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So it's a yoke top down sweater, as you can see, and it uses mosaic knitting. I guess this is mosaic knitting as well. So it's basically stitches. It's a pattern made with slip stitches, so you need a main colour and a contrasting colour. So the main colour is this beige yarn, so it's a fingering weight yarn. It's a wool yarn that I use. Sadly it's not like a big brand yarn, so I can't really define what it is, but it's a wool yarn that I find in Korea that I used, and it's a fingering weight yarn, so I thought it would be the best, it would be a great match, so that's why I used it. And then the contrasting colour, so I don't have one contrasting colour because the original pattern uses spin cycle yarns, so there are marled yarns that have like I think a long gradient or something like that happening. So in the original pattern, the main colour and the contrast colour are both like different colorways from the spin cycle yarn, so it makes this beautiful like shift of color, so happening at two shifts of color happening at the same time, and it makes this beautiful sweater. But I would have loved to use that yarn, but I didn't, so I used something else. And this was actually well, when I bought it I wasn't sure what I was going to knit with it, but I did know that I would want to knit either the Shifty sweater that I knit by Andrea Mowry or the stone crop sweater. So yeah, so what I envisioned when I knit this yarn, when I bought this yarn, what am I saying? What I envisioned from the get-go was to do some sort of gradient, some gradient. So this contrasting yarn is actually a mini set that I bought. So it's the Color Riot Full Palette 2018 from Loco. I love Loco yarns. I don't know, she does the most magnificent colors. I don't know how, like, she's a color goddess. Like, I just love everything on her site. I would like to buy everything, I just cannot. But I had been eyeing this set for ages, and she had a sale go on like for 12 minutes or something like that. It was back in maybe like May or April like 2020, and I just had to grab these, and I am so happy that I grabbed these because not long afterwards she discontinued this colorway because it was like from 2018. So she has like the full palette from 2019 and 2020, which are equally gorgeous on her website, but you can't get this one. That is a shame because it's so pretty, but her new colorways are also so on point. I would love to get them, but I do have to work through some of the yarn I have got, and I did actually buy another mini skein set when I bought this one, so I could actually show you. So I bought the chickens mini set as well, and you can see they're still in their mini skeins. But I bought this set and this set together and haven't even started this one, so I'm not allowing myself to buy any more Loco yarn before I finish this one. But I'm so tempted to, and I might have like already like have a cart that is pretty full, but I am going to behave myself. But yeah, so coming back to the story, so this is the set I've used. So it's a rainbow color gradient, I guess. Yeah, it's a gradient. It's a rainbow color gradient. It's 10 mini skeins of 20 grams skein yarns. But as you can see, I didn't use this one. This like navy blue or nearly black skein. I didn't use this one, and I barely used this one. So these are the main colours I used. I only used this for the short rows in the beginning, and I didn't reuse this colour. And the reason was, so I did try to use it, but I found that there was just too much grey, light purple grey happening. Like if I used this one, and also this one is kind of, like you see, it's similar, I guess. Like, whoopsies, I just have too much yarn. Like these two colours are quite similar, like compared to the other colours happening, they're quite similar. So when I had like all of these purple going on at the same, like success, like I don't know how to, I am losing my words, but when I had like this like reddish grey, and then all of these purples happening, there was just a big splotch of light purple happening, and there was too much purple compared to the rest of the colours, so I decided to cut it out. But yes, I'll explain by showing you the finished garment. So this is the short row that I did in the beginning, and it's the only place where I put that light purple yarn. And yeah, so it's top down, and I have a few short rows to start the garment, and then it's just a basic top down yoke pullover. But here comes the problem. I had a big issue with this pattern. So I think I knit the second size or the first size, I'm not sure, but I knit one of the smaller sizes, and the yoke increases were just not right. And I didn't realise it at first, so I have a tendency to really just believe the pattern, and I will just knit according to what's written in the pattern. And I came about, like, I did the short rows, and then there's this first increase, and so the chapeau happens at the first increase. That's quite early on in the pattern, don't you think so? But it just didn't make any sense. So we're doing a top down yoke sweater, but the yoke increases weren't dispatched proportionally. So what would happen is I think like it was something like all the increases were coming on one side. Are you serious? Like seriously? Like all of the increases were on this side. So at first I was like, I always try to believe the pattern, so I was like, okay, so maybe there's a big, there's a, like, maybe it's a design element and there's a big, like, explanation to that. So I was like, maybe in the second increase, it means that, like, the increases are happening on the other side to balance it out. And then I try to read the pattern ahead, because I never do that, and I should, but I never do that. But I figured that all of the increases were happening on this side for the first increase, but the second increase, it was again happening on one side. So it meant that basically, like, you'd have a crooked cardigan, because the increases weren't proportionally distributed, and that just didn't make sense to me. Like, it wasn't something hard to do. Like once I saw that there was a problem, I just did my maths, and I could get my numbers right. but why couldn't Andrea Mowry get her numbers right? It just didn't make any sense for me. And then I went on Ravelry because I was like, am I the only one having this problem? Because like the Shifty sweater is a pattern that has been out for quite a while, and to be honest, like a lot of people have knitted it, because like who cannot be tempted to knit this sweater? So I was like am I really the only one having this problem? And I went on Ravelry, and there was this one person who had actually had the same problem. Maybe a lot of people haven't knitted this same size. I think that I went for this size because I had a different gauge, and I normally won't knit the smallest size. I don't know what size I knit, but I knit a size where there was a big chiaogoo on it. And I think for the bigger sizes, like for the one in the pattern is like a medium, and that one doesn't have any issues apparently. But there's like 1 or 2 sizes in the smaller range that have problems in it. And there was this one person who had the same problem as me, and it's not the same problem as me, it's the problem of the pattern. It's the problem of the pattern. And she had asked Andrea Mowry or one of her staff members, or I don't know who, to like point this out, that the increases were strange. And apparently the reply that she got was that like it wasn't like, oh sorry, we will fix it. No, it wasn't that. It was, I'm sorry, but the pattern has to be written in in a range of different sizes, so they can't accommodate to have the proportional increase in every size. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, it wasn't even some sort of super complicated increase. It's a yoke increase. So basically, you just have to maybe write 1 line more, maybe. But it's not something like that hard that she could have done. But they didn't bother to. Like, and for me, that isn't acceptable. I paid as much money as the one knitting the size 4 or 3 or I don't know what. But why do I not have the same proportions as the other person, just because, oh, it's hard to write it down in a pattern? I'm like, what? Like, it's a independent pattern that I bought on Ravelry, so it's not even the pattern that has limitations in terms of like, if like sometimes, you know, like patterns that are written in magazines, they can't, like they have to fit in the page, so sometimes the explanations are super vague, but that's because like they can't afford the space to do it. But seriously, I bought a PDF pattern. Like, why can't I have like the same design as the size 3 person, or I don't know who? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, does it mean that the size 1 or 2 gets a discount? Like, no. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And to be honest, I was really disappointed because it's Andrea Mowry. Like, it's not like she's a well-known designer. Like, to be honest, like everybody knows her, and I've knitted, like I've bought a lot of patterns from her as well. So I was super disappointed to discover that someone who is as famous and has so many patterns out there, and yeah, it's not one of her early patterns, it's really recent, like it's quite recent, and like it was just not the best quality of patterns I could have bought. And the thing is, like, I was a little bit as well, because she has, I think, like 3 designs based off the same pattern repeat. So she has like a shawl, she has a cardigan, she has a sweater based off the same pattern. It means that she's making 3 times more money with the same pattern. And I bought one of the patterns from those 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, or I don't know how many she made out of this pattern. But like the increase, like maybe I would have been more forgiving if there was an error like at the end of the pattern. But basically I bought the pattern, started cast on the sweater, knitted like 5 rows, and from that point on I was not reading the pattern because there was just such a big mistake in the pattern, and like my stitches were off by then, like from the start of the pattern, from the get-go. So it meant that I just did whatever I wanted for the whole pattern. I just followed her stitch pattern. The 2 stitch patterns that are in the pattern, that's the only thing I followed. Like, seriously, I bought a pattern because I didn't want to do any math and stuff. Like, to be honest, I could have figured this out on my own. But no, I had to buy a pattern and figure it out myself on my own. So that's what I did. So to come back on this pattern, I think in the original pattern she does like 3 increasing sections, but I only did 2 because there was already too many stitches, and I think I even changed the ratio compared to hers because I found that there were too many increases happening. And I think it's, I prefer mine because you can see in a lot of the pictures that there's just too many bunching up here because there has been too many increased stitches compared to like where the sleeves have to fall, because you're going to do sleeve separations. But like yeah, so if you have too many increases, like you're gonna have like your arms are gonna be like here, as opposed to like they have to be down here. So I only did two sets of increasing sections, and those, like both of those, I had to calculate them on my own, so I was not really following Andrea Mowry's pattern. And then I just, oh, there's a hole here. No, I don't really mind. And then I did the sleeve separations. I don't really know if I did the sleeve separations as like in the same area where it's suggested in the pattern, but I just try to figure out like where I wanted it. I was torn about doing it at the point I did, or like one half section earlier, but I just did it here. I think I might have preferred it if I've done it like one half section earlier, but yeah, I just did it here. And then for the sleeves, I think I did like 1 or 1.5 sections without decreasing, and then I decreased between every section. So at this point as well, I wasn't really following the pattern, I just did what I wanted. And I knitted the sleeve until it was a length that I was happy with, and also I kept in mind the color shift. So I really wanted to finish on the purple for the body, so what I did is I omitted this light blue. So you can see that here it goes directly from the green to this turquoise color, and then this light purple to the purple. So there's no light blue. And this makes it possible to finish on this purple and have a cropped length, because I didn't want to have a full length sweater. So that's what I did. And then on the sleeves, however, I added that light blue because I need more length. So here is the mustard green, light blue, turquoise, light purple, and then I went to the, and then I like normally it's the end of the color the end of the gradient, but I went back to the first color, so this red, grayish red, and then the red and the coral. So at first I really wanted to finish on this red because I found that the coral was a little bit too light and like too similar to the main color. So I didn't really want to finish on this one, so that's why I did try to put that light this light purplish color with specks of red or pink. I did like try to add this in between these two colors, but as I've told you in the first part, then it made like this purplish area too long compared to the other color shifts, because like you can see that the color shift happening is quite well proportionized. like, yeah, you get what I mean. So there's no like two big sections of one color. Like even now I do find that there's quite a lot of like purplish reddish colors, but you can see that generally it does have quite a nice of a color shift. But when I added this color, like there was just too much purple in there, so I decided to take this out, and then I had to compromise and I had to add the coral at the end. But to be honest, I think that was a good decision. And in order to do this, I knit the sleeves like 3-4 times. But I think that I did good to do this because I'm really pleased with this. And this meant that I could have a decent length, because I was torn to keep the sleeves a little bit slight. I had to make a decision between, do I add the coral or do I just have the sleeves a little bit shorter, and I could add a longer ribbing, but that didn't look nice because it was already cropped and it looked like the sleeves were a little bit too short. So thanks to all the people who watched my knitting podcast, I have a decent sleeve on this one. And and as I have mentioned in the Telegram video, it's actually really important to have decent length sleeves, because I do not like cropped sleeves. I like cropped length sweaters, but not cropped length sleeves. I do not like them. So that was a good call at the end to do that. Yeah. So what else did I do on this sweater? Oh, so these are hand-dyed yarn. Hand-dyed yarns by Loco. I've already mentioned it, but like in the body there wasn't any issue, so I just knit the colours accordingly. And what I did to get this gradient effect, so for the big blips I would use one colour, and for the small blips, between the big blips, so here is the red and here's the coral, and so between these two you can see that there's like 3 rows of contrasting colours happening. And what's actually happening is there's 2 rows for each stripe here. So what I would do is, for the first row I would knit 1 row in this colour and 1 row in the second row in the second colour. For the second row I'd knit like the first row in the second colour and the second row in the first colour, and the third row I'd do like the first colour and then the second colour, to give like this gradient effect, to like have a nice transition between the parts. And it's actually turned out quite nice, don't you think so? And like from the get-go, it's sort of a gradient set, so these colors are like curated in order to fade quite nicely. But I really like how it worked. And yeah. And another thing I did when I knitted this is this is what I do when I knit when I knit in color work, is when I work on the sleeves I knit it inside out. So like that I do not have a tight fabric, because if you're knitting on a smaller circumference, you do tend to knit more tighter, especially if you're doing color work. So if you knit inside out, it does help you to have less tighter floats. So even if this isn't a colorwork sweater, I am doing slip stitches, and it means that there are like some fake floats. So it does, if you knit it inside out, so it means like if you knit it like this, and the right side fabric is in the inside of the tube, it does prevent you from having tight floats. So here. So for most of the sweater I have woven in the ends. I did a terrible job at weaving in the ends, but it's because there's just so many ends to weave in, so I couldn't bother to like do a good job. But there you go. And on this sleeve I have not finished. You can see that there's a lot of ends to weave in. So I do have more ends to weave in the sleeves than what you would expect. That's because since it's hand-dyed yarn, for the body I didn't really bother and there wasn't any big issues. But for the sleeves, since the circumference did become shorter, and since I was doing decreases in order to get the sleeve shapes, it meant that sometimes I would get some pulling effect happening, and I really didn't want that happening. So I would knit one row from the outer yarn of the ball, and then I would knit the second round from the inside of the ball. So basically it was as if I was alternating skeins in this, even if I was knitting with one colour, just in order to avoid any pulling, because at first I didn't do that, and that's where this happens. But at first I didn't, I did think about it. I did think that it might be an issue, but I was like, no, it's okay and stuff. But actually I did get really bad pulling patches. So this is the front, and I had initially got like big stripes of white in the green, and I really just could not let it go, and I just had to go like pull out some yarn, because I realized it afterwards, like basically I was here and I was not ready to rip the stitches out, and so I just took a piece of yarn in the green color, but I basically chose green parts of it, and I went over the white pull-in stuff. So here you can see that there's no really big pull-in happening, but this is because I went over it after the fact, because in the beginning I had got like these white stripes, as you can see here. So this is the back, so I couldn't bother to go over these ones. But for the front, so for the part where I could see it, I couldn't leave it, so I just took it out, and that's why I have like more yarn hanging around here. And once I saw that, I just alternated the skeins for the rest of the sleeves, because that's easier than going through this and trying to color manage everything. So that's all for this sweater. That's a lot already, but oh my god, I don't have enough. And there was one thing that was mentioned a lot in the Shifty sweaters, but for me it's not a real big issue, but the color changes in the body does happen in the back. So you do get like a jog here, but like if I don't really point it out, since there's just so much happening and there's so much like blips everywhere, it doesn't really show. And for me it's in the back, so I don't see it once again, so I don't really mind it. Yay! Yay! So I'll just show you how this looks when I put it on. Pum pum, pum pum. So here is the sweater in all its glory. So yeah, it does look quite doesn't it look quite nice? I really can't speak, but here it is. It's a really cute rainbow gradient. I really wanted like a rainbow sweater, and I think that I will be knitting more rainbow sweaters in the future because I really like rainbow. So yeah. And I have quite a decent amount of the mini skein set left, so I don't really know what I'm going to do with it, but I am thinking like I could do a shawl of some sort and have these as accent colours, or I could do a rainbow sock, but I don't really like knitting socks, so I don't think I'll do that. But I've seen this on Instagram, I think. It's like a garland with little mini sweaters on it, so I could have like mini sweaters in all of the colours, and that would be like a super cute garland. I really don't like knitting like plushies or toys or anything like non-garment or shawl stuff, but I did see that and it did look super cute, so that might be happening in the future, but I don't know what I'll be doing with this yarn, but it's super pretty. It's super pretty. I really love Loco yarn. I think I've already said it 300 times in this video, but really check her out. It's super. it's really pretty yarn. So here we go. This is my Shifty sweater. I do have an issue, so I washed it and just laid it flat down, so like I didn't even block it, but I always get like these marks because it was on the floor, because I had to dry it, because I can't wear it when it's wet, especially when it's this cold. So I do get like these marks, so maybe they do kind of disappear when I wear them, but it does bother me a little bit. I don't have a steamer, so that's what I do. That's all I can do. But yeah, it's a yoke top down sweater. I do have a little bit of like fitting issues regarding like yoke sweaters. I don't know like what's like the perfect yoke sweater fit, so it does like tend to like not bunch up, but like you see, you do get a little bit of like this unnecessary pleat in the armpit area, but otherwise it's really cute. Don't you think so? So I hope you really like this video. I hope you like my sweater, even though there was quite a journey, I would say, regarding the sweater, because like yeah, I basically rewrote the pattern by myself, but overall it's a super nice sweater, and the yarn is amazing. That's pretty much it. So I hope you really liked this video. If you did like this, please feel to subscribe, and also if you do like the content I am putting out there, do not hesitate to support me on Ko-fi. And I hope you have a lovely knitting day ahead of you. Bye bye.